Hi, I'm Roderick Jefferson. I'm the CEO of Roderick Jefferson and Associates, and I'm absolutely honored today to be able to speak to you about what I call demystifying the darkness. In essence, it's about building an effective sales enablement technology stack. Now, before we get into that, I, like you, sit in the audience, so I'd like to know who I'm listening to. Who is this person, and why should I listen? As I said, I'm Roderick Jefferson, CEO of Roderick Jefferson and Associates. We are a sales training and a sales consultancy focused on primarily mid-market SMB all the way up to the enterprise level. We've worked with some of the most amazing companies on the planet, all the way from Marketo, American Express, 3Part, etc. Now, from an industry awards perspective, we've been recognized and absolutely honored to do so. Personally, I've actually been named as 2019 Brainshark top sales social media influencer, as well as a top 10 marketer and sales and marketing influencer by LinkedIn. Most recently, I was honored with the title of Sales Enablement Lifetime Achievement through Award through Selling Power. But enough about me. Let's talk about, first and foremost, what does sales enablement really do? And at its core, I believe that if you ask 10 people, you'll get probably 12 different answers. So let me give you mine. And my definition of sales enablement is this. It's about breaking the complexity of sales into practical ideas through scalable and repeatable practices that will lead to accelerated speed to revenue, increased seller productivity, and customers for life that ultimately lead to increased revenue. I believe there are three components. The first is about communication. It really comes down to making sure that everyone is on the same page, they're clear, consistent, and that everyone understands what their role is as we move through this entire journey that we call sales enablement. The next is collaboration, making sure that all of the multiple lines of business are on the same page and playing and singing from the same hymn, if you will, to make sure that they understand not only their roles, but the deliverables as well as the KPIs that are involved in any given project. And finally, it's about orchestration. That is making sure that things are happening in a cohesive manner across all of those lines of business so that ultimately we are getting clear, concise, and consistent information out to your your prospects, as well as your customers. So ultimately, it's about getting your teams in the right conversation, the right way, speaking at the right level to the right individual with the right tools. And speaking of tools, let's talk a little bit about the architecture of those tools. Look, in my 20-year career, I've come across just about every sales enablement tool, technology, and platform available. Let me put this knowledge to use to you in what, again, I call demystifying the dark matter around these tools, technologies, and platforms. Look, some sales enablement tools have become absolutely critical component that drives success across your company. But it's not important to always remember this just because a shiny new tool is available does not mean you have to use it and that it'll fit for your particular company where you are in the maturation cycle. It's important for you to do your homework before you select a sales enablement tool or platform, because the problem is like selecting, designing, building, implementing, and integrating these tools can be a full-time job within itself. Too many times I've seen sales enablement practitioners get enamored with the latest cool, fun, shiny technology. Then they get led down a rabbit hole that ultimately pulls them and their teams away from the reason that they need the technology in the first place. The technology should actually be a means in which automation and scalability happen so that you can better service your internal customers as well as your prospects and your current customers. So to give you a sense of a plethora of these tools, what I want to do is actually walk through a number of them so that we can start today to align the technology resources required, again, to demystify this darkness. So let's start with the learning management systems, right? The content management systems. Yeah, sales professionals are non-admin intensive by nature and tend to have a very, very short attention span. Now, this by no means is a shot at sales professionals. I was one myself. This is the part that makes them very, very good at their jobs. And I say this as someone who used to be one, in addition to decades of direct interaction with salespeople as supporting evidence. If you don't have a single repository, salespeople will not look in multiple places for content or information. Instead, they'll create their own, and this leads to inconsistent messaging and confusion with your customer. Content management systems provide a single location for all of your content, decks, documents, customer-facing white papers, case studies, competitive briefs, and product updates. Now, this tool will ensure that you have the most current and relevant content that can be shared at all times, because there's nothing worse than mixing new, relevant, updated content with old, antiquated content. What you will do is create confusion, you'll create frustration, and as I said, what will happen is your sales folks will then begin to create their own content, which creates confusion and also problems outside with your prospects. Now, the learning management system, those are all about making sure that you have a single location for all of your learning assets. Now, there are several purposes, and they kind of provide the value for your sales enablement organization. It serves, as I said, about that single location for all of your sales professionals' learning history, assessments, accreditation, and certification scores. It'll also serve as a very simple, easy to follow process that will help you to remove the confusion and the frustration for your sales professionals that come from having to search in multiple locations for content, scores, and metrics. Now, this tool will also provide your sales enablement organization with a way to create guided learning paths, or GLPs, as a means of documenting role-specific learning accomplishments. Now, these tools might be very important to your role as a sales enablement practitioner. I can't count the number of times I've had a conversation with an executive that includes the hows, the whats, and the whys around the implementation of role-specific learning plans through content management systems. This is your way to make sure that everything's in a single location, easy to find, and that your folks are able to use it. Next is all around prospecting and sales reporting tools. Now, the prospecting is a process that we know of initiating and developing new business by searching for potential customers, clients, or buyers for your products or services, right? The goal of prospecting is to move these people or prospects through the sales funnel until they eventually convert into revenue generating customers. Now, keep in mind when you're talking about prospecting tools that most of the time it's going to be the primary user of these tools will be BDRs and SDRs with a minimal amount of sales experience. So considering this, prospecting tools should be selected based upon creating the easiest and the most efficient way to reach the right person with the right message at the right time, with the goal of generating more quality opportunities and those sales qualified leads that then ultimately will be passed on to your AEs and then closed and converted into closed sales. Next is sales reporting tools. The importance of sales reporting tools cannot be overestimated. They help sales leaders to monitor the performance of their sales teams, plan effective sales strategies, decide on sales forecasting processes, and most importantly, maintain or reduce the length of the sales cycle. So these tools are instrumental in providing critical details that can be used to develop accurate forecasts, marketing plans, guide budget planning, as well as improve decision-making processes. Next is all about the marketing automation tools, right? So purchasing, deploying, and utilizing the correct marketing automation tool is essential. Marketing automation tools are used as a hosted or web-based solution. No software installation, as we know, is required by the customer. So what's the value of that? Well, the value of a marketing automation tool is the ability to streamline your sales and marketing organizations by replacing high-touch, repetitive, manual processes with automated solutions, right? So while automating your company's marketing campaigns tend to bring in positive results, it's by no means meant to replace traditional marketing tools or campaigns. It will replace your seasonal emails, write your content for you, or intervene when you need human touch from your sales or your customer service organization. Next are communication tools. And there are a plethora of them, as you see, everything from competitive intel to podcasts to instant messaging to, of course, the shared content drives and the virtual meetings like Zoom, etc., webinars, white papers, etc. But, at its core, communication tools are really where the dots connect. It's all about finding the appropriate and most effective tool where vital internal best practices, wins, loss, product updates, go-to-market shifts, accreditations, and certifications can be shared consistently, as well as your wins and your losses and things of that sort, right? So these tools are also a brilliant way to share your internal competitive landscape changes with partners, alliances, mergers and acquisitions, and around any other things that may disrupt the selling motions or create additional selling barriers. Some of the most communication tools, as we see before us, are things like, you know, annual and quarterly business reviews, online collaboration tools, white papers, etc. So each of these are used to ensure that internal and external messaging is being delivered in a clear, concise, and consistent manner. Now, remember to create a communication strategy that incorporates a variety of these different formats, because you've got a ton of different types of learners. Everything from auditory to interpersonal to kinesthetic. You've got the readers, you've got social, you've got the visual, you've got the written learners. So the key is not to over communicate and not under communicate. So you've got to find a balance there. It's about finding the right tool to clearly communicate and not have so many tools that none of these things are viewed as useful by your sales teams. Next are sales enablement platforms, coaching tools. Some of these coaching tools are the most significant in your sales enablement bag. They are consistently changing and evolving, so it's important that you stay on top of these things. These tools can range from conversation recordings that can be used during real-time coaching sessions to video communications that can be used as a way of feeling as though you're in the same room or connected. No, regardless of the delivery vehicle, the intent's the same: to provide your sales leaders and your teams with support, tools, and resources required to create a strong, consistent culture of performance, communication, as well as accountability. And finally, it's about those revenue intelligence tools. Look, throughout my career, I've noticed that people's attention spans are continuing to shrink. And because of this, it's important that your sales enablement organization utilizes what I call knowledge bites. These are small 5 to 7 minute pieces of content in writing, visual, and podcast forms, things of that sort, that can succinctly enable your sales professional to get up to speed on a single topic. Gone are the days of sitting in front of a computer and learning and watching 30 to 60 minute voiceover PowerPoint presentations. As technology becomes more advanced and we move towards this remote workforce environment that we're in today, it's critical that you provide a tool that allows your sales professionals to access information whenever and wherever they are. This is where the revenue intelligence tools like podcast libraries, playlists, et cetera, come into play. These tools are so versatile and can be used across the full spectrum of a sales professional's career, from BDR, SDR, AE, SC, sales leaders, et cetera. Now, the thing to remember is that while these are short bursts of information, you'll want to follow a consistent format when conveying information in this delivery tool. This can include onboarding best practices, product updates, competitive intelligence changes, go-to-market shifts, partner and alliance updates, and one-on-one coaching sessions, just to name a few. So I hope that you've enjoyed this understanding and have a deeper understanding of where we are and what's available to you. What I would say is the old adage of, if it seems too good to be true, it usually is. And just because a tool is available and that shiny, fun, new hot technology is out there, does not mean that you have to use every single one of them. As I said when I began this overall conversation, you have to find out what works at this point of the maturation cycle in your particular company. And just because a tool may have worked somewhere else, or one of our peers in the sales enablement space says, hey, I've got this cool tool and this is what it does. Take your time, do your research, make sure that this is a fit for your organization today or where your organization is moving from. If you'd like to know more on tools, I welcome you to pre-order a copy of my book, Sales Enablement 3.0, where I go very, very deep on each one of these various tools. I also talk about things like how to collaborate across organizations. What does it take to build an organization? What does a standard sales enablement organization look like? And how do you walk away and begin and or up-level your current organization to become a world-class sales enablement organization that is viewed as a partner across your organization, across your company, right? If you'd like to stay connected with me, all over social media. On LinkedIn, you can find me at roderickjefferson.com. You can find me on both Twitter as well as Facebook at The Voice of Rod. You can email me, info@roderickjefferson.com, on the web at roderickjefferson.com, or on Instagram at Roderick_J_associates. It has been my absolute esteemed pleasure to walk you through these tools. If you have any other questions or you'd like to, again, connect deeper on these, please feel free to reach out. Happy selling, and I wish you the best with your tool set, your growth, your revenue growth, as well as the success of your companies in 2021. Thank you.